Hello everyone, welcome live to the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series from the beautiful Texas Motor Speedway just north of Fort Worth for tonight's Breast Cancer Awareness 200 presented by our friends over at the Brookstone Animal Hospital. We really do appreciate them sponsoring tonight's race and putting on a really good cause, the Breast Cancer Awareness 200. We got some really cool pink trucks in the field here tonight, but it is going to be a wild ride, 200 miles here at this mile-and-a-half racetrack. I'm Peter Short, and joining me in the booth here tonight is Drew Eisenman. And Drew, like I said, going to be a lot of fun here tonight around this racetrack, and it's going to be interesting to see what these drivers can do because we've seen some really good races here in the National Sim Racing Association at Texas.
Yeah, it's certainly the most unique, in my opinion, 1.5 with turns 1 and 2 having significantly less banking than any of the other traditional D-shaped ovals that we go to, like Charlotte and Atlanta. So 1 and 2, ton of patience as far as getting into the corner, getting out of the corner. You got to just take what the truck's willing to do. And then 3 and 4, Peter, all night, I anticipate being darn near flat in these trucks. I think that is going to be the action corners, and that's where a lot of guys are going to attempt passes, trying to set themselves up going into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think you're right. If you can get a strong run coming out of turn number 4, get someone or get to the inside of someone for the entrance into turn number 1, I think that's going to be your best passing opportunity because I agree. Turn number 3 and 4 at this racetrack almost flat through the entire run as we see the number 81 of Randy Bledsoe, fastest currently in this practice session. Only about 50 seconds left before we go over to our whole shootout brought to you by our friends over at craigsetupshop.co.uk. But it's really going to be cool to see that craigsetupshop.co.uk pole shootout here tonight, Drew, because here at this racetrack, even though it's a mile-and-a-half racetrack, it can be fairly difficult to pass because that turn number 1 and 2, it can be very line sensitive, and then turns number 3 and 4 is pretty much flat out. So if you can kind of have all these drivers go single file lap after lap here. But if passing happens, we're going to see a lot of it here tonight, that's for sure. It really depends how this racetrack races. I've seen it go both ways as John Cannizzaro is getting a little pit lane practice and also overshooting his box there just a little bit as he backs into it. Checkered flag is out on practice, so we will go over to that craigsetupshop.co.uk pole shootout here momentarily, which will be a lot of fun. And of course, also tonight, folks, is going to be one of our races where these drivers will have an opportunity to get some extra cash. $10 will be on the line here tonight, courtesy of the Becoming Dr. Mashburn podcast. Make sure you check out the Becoming Dr. Mashburn podcast as well, as Ben Mashburn's wife goes to get her doctorate. And it's going to be really cool to see if one of these drivers decides to go for that extra cash here on the line tonight.
Yeah, and qualifying, as you mentioned, is so important. Track position is super at a premium. I know in the Rear Street Journal Xfinity series, or B-Car series, to not give a non-sponsor plug, it was very important to maintain that track position. Once you gave it up, it was very hard to recoup it. So a lot of pressure for a lot of these drivers to get a really solid lap. And not just that, but I mean, tiny differences at a place like Texas can mean the difference between sitting on the pole and qualifying outside of the top 5. I really don't anticipate more than a tenth, 2 tenths maybe, separating that top 10. So a slight bobble can really make a big difference as far as starting track position is concerned. And Peter, if you're not significantly quicker than those trucks in front of you, it's going to be really hard to make sure that passing opportunity comes to fruition because turns 3 and 4, there's not a huge difference. Doug Neal got a little slide happy on the backstretch. That's not going to be great for him as, that's some heavy contact with the number 77 Simbox machine into the inside wall, as that is Stan Hausman now crossing the line. Right now, though, John Cannizzaro, our current provisional pole sitter, with Chris Darling qualifying second with 3 minutes left in qualifying.
But as we say that, Mike Floppy Tellier, who was so fast last night here on 3Y TV in qualifying in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series, Drew, but unfortunately had some early race contact with the outside wall. I think the 97 hit the wall in the same lap you did in the number 77 last night, and he got significant damage on his car, and his night was basically over at that moment in time. But Tellier again having a really strong lap time here tonight in the number 97. Randy Bledsoe, fastest in practice. He's up there near the top of the chart. And kind of cool to have Peterbilt on the number 81 truck here tonight. If you are a trucker, you know anything about Peterbilt. Peterbilt has a big factory about 15 to 20 minutes north of the Texas Motor Speedway on Interstate 35 in Denton, Texas. And so kind of a little bit of a hometown for that sponsor here. As Drew, you and I can both call this racetrack our home oval. I don't think we can really call it our home track anymore, as Circuit of the Americas has, at least in my opinion, taken away that distinction. And I'm actually quite proud to say COTA has taken that distinction with the way Texas Motor Speedway has raced in recent years. But here in the iRacing simulator, I got to say, it races a lot better than it does in real life.
Yeah, no, I really agree. I think that the real-life racing here at TMS, especially since the reconfigurations of turns 1 and 2, a little lackluster in real life, especially in everything other than stock cars, right? I think the Indy cars have really struggled here. And I don't think it's improved the racing as far as stock cars are concerned. I don't know. I think that if they did the same thing through 3 and 4, that at least, it would be significantly different than now Charlotte, because Atlanta is going to be totally different. We'll see how that goes. But it's a race that I went to my first NASCAR race in 2004 and went to at least once every other year, if not both years or both races a year from about 2004 to 2009. So, definitely kind of got my fandom on in NASCAR in the 2000s here at Texas Motor Speedway. But, and I think what I was saying in qualifying kind of panning out a little bit more gap between the pole position and 10th than I thought. But, Peter, I think 2.5 tenths, maybe just over that, not too bad of a disparity between 1st and 10th position thus far.
Yeah, up at the top of the charts, there have been some really close qualifying times, but you kind of expect that here because I don't think there's a whole lot of off-throttle time, at least early in the run. We know that turn number 3 and 4, we expect them to be flat out through the entire run, but turn number 1 and 2, we expect to see these drivers maybe let off a little bit as the tires start to wear. Of course, these cars are a little bit more draggy, a little bit more downforce than the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series cars that we see here on 3Y TV on Thursday nights, but it looks like the checkered flag has fallen on the craigssetupshop.co.uk pole shootout, and it will be the driver. How about this? The driver of the number 12 machine, John Cannizzaro. We have seen Cannizzaro be so quick here over the last couple of weeks on the channel. And again, here tonight, he's going to be starting on the pole, Drew.
Yeah, Cannizzaro was exceptionally quick in the Beer Street Journal B-Car series here in NSRA, so not terribly surprising to see him being on the pole position for tonight's craigssetupshop.co.uk pole shootout. Mike Tellier starting to his outside, then Randy Bledsoe and Nick Kessler in row 2, Philip Scott and Chris Darling in row 3. Then it's Josh Sobel in that 57 machine with Stan Hausman starting to his outside. And then Ben Mashburn and Doug Neal round out our top 10.
In the 11th position, Justin White in the number 2 machine with Tristan Maher to his outside. Looking a little bit further back, starting from 13th here tonight, Matt Cherry, Adam Dama to his outside in 14th. Nathan Maurer, Jeff Price, 15th and 16th. Jordan Shepler, TJ Buck on row number 9. Keep our eyes on TJ Buck. He was very quick here last season in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, but he's going to be starting well back in the field. Joshua Corner and William Kerwin Jr. round out your top 20 there, Drew.
Yeah, and then starting in 21st position, Travis White with Scott Tompkins starting to his outside in that 888 machine. Interesting number of V8 supercar, I guess now just supercars. Traditional number for that 22nd place position starter. Then Jeffrey Johnson Jr. in that 33 machine will be starting in 23rd with Dalton Hayes in that really cool Kellogg's Terry Labonte throwback scheme. Will be rolling off in 24th position. Then in 25th will be Steven Doziak Jr. in that number 55 machine, with Randy Perdue in that 25 starting to his outside in 26th position. Then in 27th, Vinny Valvano in that number 64, Cody Brown in that number 8 machine in 28. Then Garrett Gleason and Johnny Williams round out our field.
So 30 cars here tonight. A really good field at the Texas Motor Speedway, one of the bigger fields that we've had for some time here in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. And speaking of Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, guess who we got in the chat here tonight? Stay Tuned Sports saying, "What's up, everyone? How's it going?" As I fight through a bout of hiccups before the drop the green flag. Never exciting, that. We got Brantley wrote in the chat saying, "What's up, everyone?" And Steven Doziak saying hello to the broadcast booth as well. Folks, we really appreciate you stopping on in here on 3Wide TV. If you haven't heard the news, you probably have by this point, but we just hit 1,000 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. We have applied to be a part of the YouTube streamer group, which hopefully allows us to get some more benefits to y'all, and we're very much looking forward to that. Mega Tuck Daddy in the chat, rooting on TJ Buck. He's, in my opinion, here tonight. TJ Buck's going to be a driver that I think could be a little bit of a dark horse, starting well back in the field, back in around the 17th position or so. So keep your eye on the number 84 here tonight. Of course, Bucky's from the state of Texas, not far from Austin. The pace car heads down pit road. Green flag about to fall for the first time here tonight. Races in the hands of John Cannizzaro coming down. We are green flag here at the Texas Motor Speedway, Drew.
Absolutely. Is that number 12 machine with a good jump on this initial restart. John Cannizzaro solidifies his race lead with that number 81 trying to go underneath Floppy Tellier for that second position as they run down the backstretch.
And down the backstretch they come. Randy Bledsoe fast in practice. Good qualifying lap time. He now is up to second. Tellier really sliding back in the number 97. He has gone from second back to fourth, continuing to lose spots. He just lost a spot to Chris Darling, who has had some rotten luck in the past couple of weeks here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Meanwhile, 81 Bledsoe having just a peek to the inside of Cannizzaro, but Cannizzaro going to hold on, lead lap number 1. We're halfway down the backstretch on lap number 2. Look at Joshua Sobel now, maybe peeking his nose to the inside of Joshua Sobel back there. And how about this driver right here? Winner, Chester's Chicken Dinner last week at the Milwaukee Mile for the number 4 of Ben Mashburn. Of course, here tonight, Drew, we did not see John Cannizzaro attempt that extra bonus, that extra $10 that were on the line for the Becoming Dr. Mashburn's podcast, Dash for Cash. So looks like that money will roll over to the next event. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, sorry for hitting the microphone with my headphones, but we got a battle for the race lead.
We absolutely do. Is that number 81 machine of Randy Bledsoe making a move to the outside? Interesting choice for that number 81 machine. It's going to be really hard to make work through 1 and 2. I think 3 and 4, that outside might be viable. Is now Philip Scott making a move to the inside, maybe trying to grab that race lead, taking an opportunistic move as that 81 really challenging hard. And a little bit of a bobble from the 81. That's going to allow Philip Scott to get up there and grab that second position.
Yeah, big bobble from the number 81. He's going to slide all the way back behind the 88 Taz Racing Customs machine of Nick Kessler. And Drew, Kessler is one of those drivers on the 1.5 racetracks. He's a driver to watch out for. And here he is working his way up into third. Started this race on the outside of row number 2. So pretty much running where he started. But one thing I want to note is look at all the pink and pink cars in the race here tonight. You've even got the purple car of Philip Scott. It's kind of a purplish pink, which could actually stand for a couple of things. Not only the breast cancer awareness, but I believe there's also, is it the Child Abuse Month as well? Child Abuse Awareness, which is the color purple. So definitely interesting to see some unique colors out there on the racetrack. You've got, of course, Josh Sobel back there running the breast cancer awareness inspired scheme. Some really cool cars. Of course, it is Breast Cancer Awareness 200, brought to you by friends over at Brookstone Animal Hospital. Of course, they give out the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award each and every week here on the channel. So cool to see them step it up a little bit further here tonight. Let's go check in on TJ Buck. Well, TJ's actually a little bit out of the frame here. We're focusing in on Jordan Shepler. He's one of those pink cars, but he's racing also with a cause. That number 13 has Julie Lane on the side. That is his mom, and she is going through a fight herself, and a really, really great-looking number 13, and great to see him supporting the cause as well. Really, really cool car running back there in 14th, right in front of TJ Buck. There is TJ with the number 84 machine. And does it say the Bucky's for boobs? Bucky's for boobs. There you go. You hear it right here. What does it say on the deck lid and the tail back there? It says Bucky's for boobies. There you go. I don't know where that particular Bucky's is. I don't know if that's a club of some sort. But hey, the number 84 right now is in the 15th position.
Yeah, and I mean, I know when I was a wee youngin', there were those I Heart boobies, I guess you would say, wristbands that were quite popular when I was in middle school and high school. And I think that's kind of echoing the spirit of those wristbands of my youth. The 54 machine of Matt Cherry right there. Now the 11 of Chris Darling making a move forward. And Darling, a guy who has been pretty unfortunate, I guess, thus far. Really quick in every single race, but just not able to finish where he's run in a lot of these NSRA Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series races. Yeah, you can call me the 2X for life. I mean, Chris, he's had a lot of pace. And I know, as somebody who's experienced this on the Thursday night series, it's so frustrating to have a lot of pace at a lot of races and just not finish where you run. It can get in your head. You can try to figure out exactly what you're doing wrong, and then you can kind of undermine yourself. But I know that 11 machine will finish up at the front before too long. Is now the 88 and the 99 now battling each other for that third position. Is Philip Scott moving back a little bit, Nick Kessler moving up. This 88 machine is one that I think, Peter, has a lot of potential in it. Nick Kessler has in that number 88. When he is good, he's, I think, as good as anybody in the field as far as pace is concerned. Just he certainly does have off nights. I think that these 1.5 mile ovals are the tracks that we've seen that 88 machine excel at, and we're seeing a solid run tonight as though Philip Scott now challenging that 88 back for that second position. And it's going to be interesting to see if this 88 can hold out on this high line. That's going to be incredibly impressive, because through 1 and 2, that high line is very, very difficult. Maybe a little bit better in these trucks than my previous experiences. But I think 3 and 4 right here, we're going to see this 88 do a really good job keeping up with that 99. There we go. He's going to be able to carry a little bit of momentum on that high line. But Peter, it's going to be so challenging to be able to hold off that inside line throughout an entire lap here at Texas, given the configurations of turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, and we'll see whether Kessler can kind of keep his foot in it. He's doing a good job here. Maybe this racetrack is racing a little bit racier than it usually does, because we got a 2x2 action here with Nick Kessler on the outside leading the number 97, also on the high line, a Mike Floppy Teller. And then on the inside, you got Philip Scott and the 11 of Chris Darling. So these 4 drivers, I should say, just all battling here for the third spot. Then Matt Cherry starting to creep into the picture back there in the number 54 machine. Cherry has gained 6 positions from the drop of the green flag, one of the biggest movers of the race. The biggest mover at this point is Cody Brown in the number 8 mobile. He is up 10 spots from the drop of the green flag, and there you go, Drew. Oh, now Kessler doing the over-under as Philip Scott slides up a little bit. I was just about to say, I think Kessler's going to slide in here behind the number 99, because he couldn't quite hold on to that spot, but now it looks like he's going to take it away from Philip Scott.
Yeah, a really solid move through 3 and 4 there by that 88 machine. Yeah, now you see him just protecting that bottom line so the 99 can't get to the inside of that 88, because I think Nick Kessler has the superior pace over Philip Scott. I think one thing that we've seen over that 99 machine of Philip Scott is short run pace. He's got it. I think long run pace is where Philip needs to do just a little bit of work and figuring out what he needs to do to maintain the that pace that he has in the short run over the long run. As now we're looking at that number 57 machine of Josh Sobel going to the inside. I believe that number 4 of Ben Mashburn right there. Sobel, a fantastic run at Pocono last night. A ton of pace in the 57 machine. Ben Mashburn, I believe, Peter, now granted I was not available last Friday, but I believe he was our winner last week.
Yep, you're right. Winner, Chester's Chicken Dinner was the saying in Victory Lane last Friday night here from the Milwaukee Mile, which he went into the Milwaukee Mile, Drew. I interviewed him before the race, not here on 3Y TV, but before I went on camera. And I said, well, this isn't one of those, making Dr. Mashburn podcast, Dash for Cash races. And he said, yeah, no, I hate this place. There's no way I'm going to get my wife's money back, so we're not doing it tonight. That was kind of the joke. He's like, I hate this place. And then he ended up and just ended up getting the win. It was pretty crazy. So Ben Mashburn getting the win last week, and I think that's one of the first times we've seen Mashburn have just fantastic pace on a flat track. So I know we've seen Mashburn be fast at tracks like Michigan and Atlanta, and here tonight showing some pace just inside the top 10 at Texas. But on a flat track, he hated the place, but he did an awesome job, got to Victory Lane, and now has punched his ticket into the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series chase at the end of the season as he races with Josh Sobel back there in the pack. We got Baby Girl in the chat rooting on Johnny Williams. Let's see if we can go check out where Johnny is at in the field here right now. He's back there in his pink number 69 machine, got to DeWalt on the side. Looks like he's caught a piece of that wall at some point there, Garrett. As you can see, the Susan G. Comans Race for the Cure on the front of it as well. But I see some right side damage, and that isn't going to help him out as he catches the grass there through the trial. Back behind him is Garrett Gleason in the number 7 machine. He's also had obviously had some contact with something, although that almost looks like he's had contact with the left-hand side of the truck, which is, in my opinion, fairly difficult to get at a big open racetrack like this.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the trucks. I honestly have not raced the trucks very much here. I did do quite a few laps in the B cars here not too long ago that didn't go the way I wanted it to go as far as finishing position is concerned, but I certainly was not loose. So typically, if you have a little bit of left side damage, you're really loose off the corners. I don't anticipate these guys are too loose tonight, but hey, Garrett's out there turning laps, doing what he needs to do. And one thing, Peter, that we know that 7 machine is going to be able to do is finish higher than his pace has indicated throughout the race. Always creative with pit strategies is Garrett Gleason, and I think that will certainly be the same here tonight, as now he makes a move on, I believe that's Johnny Williams way up the track there through 1 and 2, but back up towards the front of the field. That number 99 of Philip Scott holding off, now back by that number 88 machine of Nick Kessler, as a matter of fact. And Nick Kessler starting to struggle a little bit here, Peter, and that is not the ideal line through 1 and 2, way up the track.
Yeah, Kessler here might be struggling just a little bit. Might be getting that freight train action as well. Looks like he finally can get to the bottom side of the racetrack in front of the 54 of Matt Cherry, but Kessler here sliding back a couple of spots. Meanwhile, Chris Darling in the number 11. We know he's been fast here at the Texas Motor Speedway in the past here in the National Sim Racing Association. He's just worked his way up into 4th, but you can see up the road, John Cannizzaro Jr. now up to about a 1 1/4 second lead, and then it's about another second back from Bledsoe to Philip Scott, and then you can see the gap from Philip Scott to the number 11 there at the bottom of your screen. They race inside the top 5 right here, with Nick Kessler being the 5th place driver. And Matt Cherry says, you know what, I want to be inside the top 5 for the first time here tonight. And one thing that I've seen about Matt Cherry, Drew, is he, out of all these drivers in the field, I think he tends to struggle with a loose race truck a little bit more than these other people. We've seen him get loose when the trucks are just kind of on edge. And we've seen that many times over this season, both in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series and here in the trucks. But when the trucks are a little bit more snug, I think that's when Matt Cherry's driving style really works out for him. And it's paying off for him right now. He started 13th. He's now up inside the top 5 for the first time here tonight. You see Josh Schobel back there right in front of Doug Neal. Doug Neal, of course, the Simbox machine. If you need a button box, make sure you check out our friends over at Simbox. And then back behind them is the number 4 of Ben Mashburn. And then behind Ben Mashburn, how about the Beer Street Journal Grand National, not Grand National Series machine. That is the Beer Street Journal Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series truck. That's a mouthful. Also sporting a pink scheme here tonight for Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the Breast Cancer Awareness 200, brought to you by our friends over at Brookstone Animal Hospital. Of course, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, that's actually Stan's wife's side of the business. And great to have Brookstone Animal Hospital on board, and of course Beer Street Journal for all that they do. Really cool looking race truck there.
Yeah, Peter, I mean, to kind of plug Beer Street Journal, thank you for correcting me. The Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. There we go. That's the correct term. I'll try to remember that if I manage to finish in the top 3 in that series moving forward. But I got to say, I'm enjoying a delicious Alpine Beer Company Duet IPA. I know you're not a big IPA fan, Peter, but I certainly am a delicious little IPA that's like, I would describe it as licking a pine cone is kind of what this IPA tastes like, out of Alpine, California, just east of San Diego. It's absolutely delicious. If you're an IPA fan, I highly recommend you try it. There's my plug for Beer Street Journal. But back to the racing, number 11 to Chris Darling, challenging second position here from Philip Scott. As Peter, one thing I'm noticing, that high lane seems to be a lot more viable in these trucks than it was earlier in the NSRA season when the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series came here. That outside lane was just a death sentence as far as pace was concerned, but you can really carry a lot of momentum, especially through 1 and 2 on that high lane, which I was really not expecting.
Yeah, that high line seems to be a spot where you can make a pass and you can hold someone off up there, as we see the leaders work their way on past Johnny Williams there. But we're riding on board with Matt Cherry, hoping to get a front row seat of the side-by-side action that we saw a little while ago in front of them between Philip Scott and Darling. But that battle has settled down for just a brief moment. Just looking a little bit further back in the pack. Here's Nate Maurer, the 971, right in front of Randy Perdue. And a couple of other trucks. There's the number 8 of Cody Brown, who is still the biggest mover of the race so far. In fact, now actually tied with Matt Cherry for that. But behind them, side-by-side action between the 47. That's Dalton Hayes and Adam Dama in the 28, as Dama gets really loose on the bottom side of the racetrack.
Yeah, some goings on here at Texas Motor Speedway as Adam Dama in that 28 machine. Again, I know that 28 is not a necessarily new look for Adam Dama, but certainly a departure from his Army Esports machine that he had been running for quite a while. Now that number 23 of Travis White battling that number 13 of Jordan Shepler, who is locked into our championship battle as far as the chase, the playoffs, whatever nomenclature you want to label the championship battle, as Peter pulls that up for you. Thank you very much, sir. With Jeff Price, Jason Gracias, Jordan Shepler, and Ben Mashburn all locked in. And Peter, one thing that's notable about this is, number 1, no repeat winners here in the Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series. But as we know, one winner over the next couple weeks, a new winner over the next couple weeks, can completely change this point situation, and that's one of those really cool things. I love what NSRA has decided to do as far as points are concerned this season, that the kind of win and you're in, and then 2 wild cards that are the 2 highest drivers in points that have not won the championship get in. I love that format. And if I'm not mistaken, Peter, there's not the elimination format that we see in real life, which rewards consistently running well in the championship is concerned. Am I correct in thinking that?
That's correct. We're going to go with a chase format this year rather than a knockout playoff style system. So the season here, they're going to have about 5 races, and it's going to award consistency. And you're probably going to have to win a race if you're going to want to really contend for the title in the final 5 races. But it's going to be a lot of fun here in the run-in to the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, a Truck Series Championship. Stay Tuned Sports says, so Peter, hard to hear, but is this the underwear race? No, this is not the underwear race. This race was sponsored by our friends over at Brookstone Animal Hospital. It's the Breast Cancer Awareness 200 here tonight. We will have, don't worry, the next unsponsored race, which we don't have an unsponsored race for the next couple of weeks. But, I mean, by all means, if you want to sponsor a race, the National Sim Racing Association would love to have you sponsor a race. But in the off chance that we don't get a sponsored race, that race will be the Doug Milliner's Underwear Emporium, whatever it might be that night. So, going to be a lot of fun. That was my promise last week, is if we had enough likes to the video, that we would name the next sponsorless race the Doug Milliner's Underwear Emporium. We hit that number of likes. Why don't we go for that again? 15 likes tonight. Let's see if we can get more than 15. That is our number here tonight, as we got some great side-by-side action for you. Josh Sobel here starting to creep up through the running order, G. He just broke the top 5, and now he's up to 4th with that pass on Matt Cherry.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if there is an unsponsored race in the future. I might have a solution or two, given my tiny little thing that I like to do every now and then. But yeah, the number 88, Nick Kessler, kind of surprised at the recent struggles all the way up into 2nd position at one point. Now really falling back through the field down in 7th position. Now just battling to kind of hang on to actually, given where the 97 is running, yeah, right around in 7th, 8th position. And I'm kind of surprised by the struggles of the 88, Peter, because we've seen Nick Kessler really excel on these longer runs, and tonight, not the case. But I think one thing that's really important to keep in mind is, at a place like Texas, if you overdrive your car or your truck, in this case, a little bit too much, you never get the chance to kind of get the tires back under control. One thing that iRacing does is it's really sensitive to tire temps. And so if you overheat that right front, if you overheat that right rear, you never really get a chance to kind of settle those temperatures back down, and you're just going to struggle throughout the run until you get those tires changed. Maybe that's what the 88's dealing with right now, and he needs to get a new set of tires on that thing, and then maybe he can learn from that, because that is incredibly valuable and something that you can't really practice is race pace, because you're just driving what you're doing relative to what the field is going to kind of dictate that you do as far as how hard you push the truck. And you can learn from that throughout the race. 134 laps sounds like a lot. It's really not when it comes to really figuring out what you want out of that car, out of that truck, and what you need to do to be successful in these race situations. So we'll see if that 88 is able to adapt a little bit. Now looking at the number 47 machine of Dalton Hayes, running in 20th position now, fighting with Adam Dama in that kind of copper and white colored 28 machine behind him. And Peter, there's one thing this scheme reminds me of, and that's reminded me of 2003 Darlington Southern 500, Terry Labonte's last win. But now the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series machine of Matt Cherry, and you were talking about a guy who really excels when the nose is what is making that car turn. When that front end is the limiting factor, I think that's what Matt Cherry excels in. And now all of a sudden, Peter, I was talking about that 88 struggling, making a move for 5th position. Maybe this 88 has found what he needs to do to be successful, because all of a sudden 7th to 5th, that 88's moving back forward.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, the number 54 of Matt Cherry. He got to a certain point, and it kind of stalled out there. Here comes Mike Floppy Tellier. No, here comes 54 of Matt Cherry on pit road. Nick Kessler and the number 11 of Chris Darling all coming down pit road right now here on 3 Wide TV. And tell you what, Drew, we're right on about the 1/3 race distance or thereabouts. So that's, I'm sure, why these drivers have decided to come down, as we got some 3 wide action, or we thought about 3 wide action. Tristan Maher there on fresh tires in the 17, going around the outside of TJ Buck, and the 2 of Justin White. This is for 7th and 8th.
Yeah, Peter, we're seeing quite a few guys come onto pit road now. Matt Cherry, Nick Kessler, Chris Darling, all making their pit stops here on lap 46, 45, 46, depending on what these drivers are. And one thing that you really don't want here at Texas, which is not an improbable event, getting onto pit road is a difficult thing to do for not zero drivers. And when pit cycle is happening, the undercut is super powerful, but if somebody has a problem getting onto pit road, this 84, very conservative pit entry, Kyle Busch would not approve of that pit entry, but that certainly will result in you not having a massive penalty, as TJ Buck in his Bucky's pro female chest scheme in that number 84 machine onto pit road now. I believe we're at Josh Sobel. Yes, we are, with the number 99 of Philip Scott behind him. Now our current race leader is Josh Sobel, and Peter, one thing that is nice when you stay out is you get those bonus points, and then maybe you can put those guys around you a lap down, which is invaluable, because even if there is a caution, and you come down, you pit, you take tires, and you're at a tire disadvantage, those vehicles which are a lap down, which is literally everyone else, all of the leaders that have pitted are now a lap down. Even though they'll get back on the lead lap because you pitted, you'll have that tire advantage, and that really sets you up for success for the rest of the race, but you are giving up time right now.
Yeah, that is for sure. Here comes the number 13 machine on pit road. Jordan Shepler, Jeff Price on pit road, Garrett Gleason, Cody Brown. Looks like the number 25 back there is on pit road as well. And Shepler just misses his pit stall just a little bit. Looks like the number 9 machine is rolling off. That's Joshua Corner there in the Team Realtree number 9. So most of the field here have completed their pit cycle, although 57 machine, Josh Sobel, continues to be your race leader. Typically, we have Rich in the chat. Rich, if you're with us here tonight on 3 Wide TV, give us a shout in the chat. We really appreciate seeing you each and every week here on the channel. We gotta say, it's always fun to have an active chat, as now Joshua Sobel says, you know what, guys, let's get down pit road, and the number 57 hits that commitment cone at the pit road speed. Good job there by the driver, the number 57, and that's one thing, we talked about this last night in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series broadcast, Drew, or not you and I, but Garrett Gleason and I did, about Josh Sobel. He's had a lot of pace. He's made some fairly large mistakes. He needs to try and minimize those mistakes, and I think he can be a pretty strong contender late in the season.
Yeah, and Peter, the 57 of Josh Sobel under these stops, committed to me as of recently and missed his pit box a little bit and had to back up, and that is not going to be beneficial for Josh right here in this pit cycle tonight, as now I believe we have completed this cycle relative to the race leaders, as this 12 machine of John Cannizzaro should be our race leader. I'm just looking at the 97 and where he cycles out. No, he pitted as well. So yeah, John Cannizzaro, who again was exceptionally quick here in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series, is our race leader here tonight. And Peter, I know that the 12 has missed quite a few races throughout the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Series Truck Series season. Is he eligible for the chase as of now, or does he have some work to do if he were to win tonight?
If you win the race, you're pretty much eligible, I believe, for the chase unless you miss a significant number of races. I don't know what the number of races is, but I believe Canizaro would be eligible. I do believe. So we will double check and confirm that. I'm having to do some moderator duties because as soon as you hit the magic number 1,000 on YouTube, you start to get spam bots in the chat. And so we're trying to hide those and moderate those as we go through. But here a little bit further back, we got the number 4 machine right there on your screen. Winner last week at the Milwaukee Mile. He's running right behind Randy Bledsoe. But right now, Ben Mashburn finds himself in the 8th position. TJ Buck right there. Remember, Drew, earlier in the race, I said TJ Buck might be a little bit of a dark horse. He's starting to creep his way up through the field here. Now up into 8th.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, 2 seasons ago, the 84 won the race here at Texas. Maybe it was a preseason race. I just remember a Cap'n Crunch. I don't know what the branding is for that cereal anymore. But 84 machine won here. We might have been doing a practice broadcast, as a matter of fact, when that 84 won here at Texas Motor Speedway. But I'm kind of surprised that TJ Buck's not a little bit quicker, but maybe he's being a little methodical and lulling the field into a bit of complacency here at Texas Motor Speedway, as John Canizaro really nailed this pit cycle over a 4-second lead here at Texas, which is a massive amount, given that there's typically only a couple tenths difference between the top 10. And Matt Cherry now in second, Chris Darling in third, and Peter. This is a result, I think that if the race finished right now, that Chris Darling would welcome so much pace in that 11 machine all season long. He just has not managed to finish where he's run this season.
Yeah, you're right. And you know, you mentioned it. That can be so frustrating as a driver when you have pace and you just don't exactly get those results that you anticipate, that you see yourself, oh man, I have a top 5 speed. I think I can get a top 5 here tonight. And it just doesn't materialize due to one reason or another, whether you get involved in an accident, whether you get damage, or you speed on pit road and miss your pit box or something like that. It can really add up and take its toll on these drivers as the season wears on. Hopefully we don't see that getting to people. Although here is a driver, the number 97 of Tellier, who was so fast last night at Pocono, had an early departure from that race, making the pass on the number 81 of Randy Bledsoe. That puts Tellier back up to 7th. He started on the outside pole here tonight, as some of your lead trucks are now lapping some trucks a little bit further back. That is William Kerwin right in front of Tellier. Kerwin just 1 lap down as they run. Meanwhile, in front of Tellier is Philip Scott, who is running in 6th, trying to run down Doug Neal in the Simbox Chevrolet Silverado. Good pit stop for him. He pitted it up 4 laps earlier than Philip Scott, so Scott will have a tire advantage. But right now, it's quite a gap between Philip Scott and the current race leader. It's about 9 seconds up to John Canizaro, who has a significant lead over these two right here of Cherry and Darling. This is the battle currently for the 2nd position.
Yeah, the number 11 machine making a move for 2nd position here through turns 3 and 4. A really good job by that 11 to carry momentum on that bottom. It can be so difficult to do here at Texas. Through turns 3 and 4 is now the 88 of Nick Kessler, looking to take advantage as well going into turns 1 and 2. We'll see if that 54 machine can hold him off on that outside. He can. And that's one thing, Peter. You can really, really drive that truck into the corner in turns 1 and 2 on the outside that you can't really do on the bottom because it's just such a big arching corner. You have to exit and really do a late apex, and it's kind of an interesting corner setup because that exit really tightens up, that really allows you to drive in deep on that outside line. We'll see if the 54 can make that work once again. Ooh, Kessler kind of pushing him up the track, didn't quite find the bottom And Peter, when you're running by yourself, you certainly want to get to that white line there on the bottom. But when there's a truck to your outside, it's not disadvantageous to not quite get down there and force that truck on the outside up a little bit where he can't get back to the throttle as early as he wants to. And there you go. That 88 is able to complete that pass through 3 and 4. Some smart driving by that 88 machine.
Yeah, so Kessler now up into third position. Just looking a little bit further back, looks like Tellier has been able to run down the 77 of Doug Neal. Here is the number 57, however, of Joshua Sobel trying to get around Dalton Hayes. Hayes finds himself 1 lap down. He had an extended pit stop. Not sure if it was due to speeding or maybe getting some damage fixed, but a 30-second pit stop time for the 47 machine here tonight. Maybe missed his pit stall or something, but Dalton Hayes finds himself 1 lap down, and all these leaders trying to go around him. Looks like Sobel quickly making that pass on the 77 of Doug Neal, and here comes Philip Scott to the inside of the number 77 machine. And you look at when these drivers pitted, Drew. Tellier pitted on lap 50, Sobel pitted on lap 50, but then back behind them, Doug Neal pitted on 45, so he has 5 lap older tires than those 2 trucks in front of him. Philip Scott pitted on lap number 49, so he has 4 lap fresher tires than Doug Neal. And then back behind him, you have Randy Bledsoe, who pitted on 47. So Bledsoe's kind of in the middle of Doug Neal and some of the other trucks around him. So you expect maybe Doug Neal to lose another spot back there to Randy Bledsoe. But here comes Philip Scott to the inside of Neal. And I think the fresher tires will prevail through turn number 3 and 4. Indeed, they do.
Yeah, the undercut can certainly be powerful, as I experienced last night, but you're at a tire disadvantage the rest of that run, and now you see Philip Scott trying to make his tire advantage now work relative to most of the rest of the field. We'll see if he can get back up to that top 3 where he was running prior to this pit stops. One guy that kind of strikes me as really kind of figuring out a good balance is that number 57 machine, 1 position ahead of this 99, is Josh Sobel. Did a really good job at Pocono last night as far as balancing tires are concerned and finishing right there in the top 5, and that's where that 57 is right about racing right now. The 13 of Jordan Shepler, a winner here this year in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, now running in about 16th position. Only a couple trucks, or 1 truck specifically, behind him on the lead lap. Or I guess, never mind, that's qualifying. I looked at the wrong category, but not too far, only about 10-15 seconds from being potentially lapped, running in 16th position ahead of Adam Dama, behind Justin White, that number 2 machine that you see in front of him. And Peter, one thing that's kind of striking me right now is the pace out of the number 12 machine of John Cannizzaro. After this pit stop cycle, had about a 4-second lead on Chris Darling, up to 6 seconds. Has pulled 2 seconds throughout this run, and we're rapidly closing on halfway. That's a heck of a lead to go if we don't get another caution, knock on wood. I think that 12 machine is in commanding position as far as this race is concerned.
Yeah, that number 12 of Cannizzaro is extremely quick. There he is. 6-second lead right now in that Chevy Silverado. And dare we say it, Drew, we are over the halfway mark. We just got to lap number 70. 69 laps are in the books here tonight. We've yet to see the yellow flag wave at all. We started with 30 trucks, and out there on the racetrack, you can count 29 of them. Actually, no, excuse me, I take that back. Tristan Maher has pulled it off, as has Cody Brown, so I'm not sure what happened to either the 17 or the number 8. Maybe they had something else that they had to do that was perhaps more important than the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. There isn't anything more important than this, folks. Let's be honest. But maybe they had something that they had to attend to. Both of those drivers are off the racetrack. So 27 trucks still turning laps here at Texas Motor Speedway. There's your race leader. So let's see if we can find the best battle for position right now inside the top 10. And it's between these two, the 99 and the 54, Drew.
Yeah, the number 99 machine kind of battling. Now, that's really tight through 3 and 4. And as we have seen recently, Peter, I think one thing that iRacing hasn't quite figured out is that net coding problem that we've seen. And so when you drive somebody that hard when you're the outside vehicle, you can potentially have a big old problem there, as the 99 doesn't quite find the bottom. I think that that 54 machine's going to struggle here a little bit. Now the number 33 of Jeffrey Johnson, who is a lap down, making a move on that 54 machine. He's good. And Peter, I got to say, is that 88 in front of that 99 have quite a bit of right side damage there, I believe, does Nick Kessler.
Yeah, you are not wrong at all. Nick Kessler with a whole heap of right side damage. That is not good for the driver of the number 88 machine. Let's see if we can figure out what happened here between the wall and the 88 truck. I don't think we're going to have to go back all too far to see if we can figure out where this contact might have happened. We'll go back maybe a little bit further, and there it is. There it is. We found it. Let's go and see exactly what all went down coming out of turn number 2. Turn number 2, we haven't really mentioned this here tonight, Drew, because it's been so clean, but that corner right there, as he clobbered it really good, it's usually the calamity corner here. The truck has a tendency to get really, really tight coming out of that corner, and now, unfortunately, Nick Kessler paying for all that damage. He went from about the 3rd position, he's all the way back to 8th, and he's being caught by quite a few trucks behind him.
Yeah, Nick Kessler struggling here now. And Peter, one thing that can happen when you have that right side damage is if you have a tight situation, it just makes that tight situation so much worse, and you can potentially lose the acceleration that the trucks around you that are undamaged can have. I know I experienced that last night, is not a ton of contact with that right side can result in a significant disadvantage as far as overall straight line performance is concerned in these vehicles in iRacing, which is kind of weird and certainly something that I think the sim needs to improve on. Hopefully, as those new damage models get implemented, that will change. I think those new damage models are a little bit tougher as far as those things are concerned, but that 88 is really struggling now, falling down to 8th position, and I would be surprised if he's able to hold on to that machine, as the 81 of Randy Bledsoe now really pressuring him from behind. And yeah, that 88, wow, he is super struggling. I think he's going to have to take that thing down onto pit road and get that sim. Oh, I apologize. I can't. I was in a certain branch of the military that can't read. There we go. Taz Racing Customs truck is really struggling to turn on entry. I think he's going to have to take that 88 machine down pit road before too long, as I think we are just on the precipice of pit stops, Peter, if I'm not mistaken, as I'm seeing some smoke on pit road entry.
Oh, smoke on pit road entry. I can't tell you who that might have been. I'm not seeing anyone necessarily saying that they came down pit road, so that is interesting. Maybe someone just got loose coming out of turn number 4 or something. Not exactly sure. We're going to pick up this battle, though, for position between Adam Dama and Randy Perdue. This is the battle right now for the 17th position. Travis White back there behind him in the 23 finds himself one line. Oh, Dama's in the wall. Dama's in the grass. And Dama comes back on the racetrack. We stay green flag, but that is another truck that all of a sudden here, Drew, the wall seems like it's coming out to grab these drivers.
Yeah, the 28 machine just knocked out the wall, and probably not too dissimilar to the 88 machine, a few positions ahead of Adam Dama. But yeah, oh, caution is out. What happened here? I believe it's on the front stretch, Peter.
Yeah, it is on the front straight, and unfortunately, we're getting word that it involves last week's race winner driver of the number 4 machine, of Ben Mashburn, back in, comes around, and he does a good job of grinding it to a halt without getting any damage. So the good news is that he's going to be able to get away with that without any significant contact. The bad news is he's going to lose some track position, but the first caution flag of the night here coming in the back half of the Breast Cancer Awareness 200, brought to you by our friends over at Brookstone Animal Hospital. We're going to get to give out one of those Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Awards for the first time here tonight, as there you see the yellow lights start to twinkle on the side of the Texas Motor Speedway. And what happened here with Ben Mashburn again? So this was him just a little while later. He goes past the pace car, and maybe Ben, you're not supposed to pass the pace car there, buddy. It looks like he just kind of slows down on the top side of the racetrack and lets people back on by. So maybe he fell a lap down in that scuffle. But we will jump back to the live shots here at Texas, and everyone's on pit road. You see John Cannizzaro on pit road. Nick Kessler is just rolling off. He might have missed his pit stall. Not sure what the story is there. We'll have to check back in on that. But Cannizzaro, who had the pole, he's rolling. Chris Darling is rolling. Cannizzaro will win the race off pit road. Chris Darling second. Josh Sobel in third. Then Tellier, Philip Scott, Doug Neal, the 81 of Bledsoe, TJ Buck, Stan Hausman, Jeff Price, Justin White, the 13 of Shepler, then Cherry and Nate Maurer. I don't know what happened there to Cherry there, Drew, but Matt Cherry is going to be well back in the pack in the number 54 Stay Tuned Sports podcast truck.
Yeah, I'm not sure either what happened to that 54. Sometimes, guys are getting their damage fixed if they got into that wall or something like that, but I don't see any damage on that 54. Just trying to go through his kind of pit stop here, and just going into his pit box. Oh, he missed his pit stall, Peter. He went a little too deep. As somebody who is very familiar, here we go. We're going to see this 54 just overshoot just a little bit, and iRacing so sensitive. He actually does. There you go. That little backup can cost you quite a bit of time. And what's weird, because in real life, you wouldn't overshoot your pit box because he didn't cross the line that demarcates his actual pit stall from the one in front of it. But in iRacing, it's very sensitive as far as how far you can go beyond your pit sign. And the 54, just a little bit too long, and that process of backing up really, really hurt him. And now suffering those consequences, unfortunately, is Matt Cherry, but kind of back out front. I believe the 88 machine is our race leader right now, Peter. Interesting decision by Nick Kessler.
Very interesting decision from Nick Kessler. We saw him come down pit road, but he did not he did not go into his pit box. He just decided to drive on through at pit road speed. And with that, he's now your race leader in the number 88 machine. I'm not sure if he's thinking here maybe he can wait to pit, maybe, in a lap or two before the pace car lights turn off. But I'm not really sure what's going on with him or the chat, as we are going to ban another user here tonight. Lovely getting all these spam bots as the 88 comes down on to pit road finally. So maybe here, Drew, we got 51 laps to go. Maybe the 88 of Kessler thinks he can make it all 51 laps. It's possible. Might be a little bit tight, but we did see some drivers go 50. So maybe that's what Kessler's thinking here. Just top it off with fuel and wait to get tires. He's getting tires on it now, as out there on the racetrack, John Cannizzaro now inherits the race lead, and the pace car lights have turned off. The field will double up, and we will get things sorted here in just a moment. William Kerwin is getting back on to the lead lap in the 07 machine. Ben Mashburn in the 4. I believe he will be scored one lap down here, Drew. So he lost a lap in that whole scuffle, that whole foray. But I believe William Kerwin Jr. is your Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner. Now, don't quote me on that, but I think it's the 07. I'm just thinking that's true, but it might not be. I'm sure we'll hear after the race, but big shout out to our friends over at Brookstone Animal Hospital, not only sponsoring tonight's Breast Cancer Awareness 200, but the Lucky Dog Award, each and every yellow flag. When we have one or more trucks one lap down, pace car heads down pit road, and for the second time here tonight, Drew, green flag waves at Texas.
Another great restart for that number 12 machine of John Cannizzaro, with Chris Darling trying to hold off Josh Sobel for second position, as that number 14 machine looking to move forward. That is Jeff Price, another one of our race winners thus far this season, as Chris Darling solidifies his control of second position. Now third position is the position of contest between that number 97 machine and the 57 of Josh Sobel, as Sobel's able to clear one Mike Floppy Tellier for that third position. Now the battle is for fourth between Philip Scott. Oh, a big wiggle. Oh, Floppy gets really loose, and that is absolutely going to kill him. He is going to fall way back. And Peter, cold tires in the exit of turn 2 at Texas are not very good friends. Let's put it that way, as that 97 certainly paying the price now.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that number 97 is now well back in the field, right there with the number 9 machine. He is back in the 16th position. Can you believe that? All of a sudden, Tellier has a lot of work cut out for him here tonight. Here's Philip Scott racing with Randy Bledsoe. This is side-by-side action for the 4th position between the 4th and 5th placed race trucks. So looks like Bledsoe will take that away. Been really impressed with the pace out of Randy Bledsoe in the past couple of weeks here on 3 Wide TVs. I try and hold back a yawn here, folks. It's been a long day here in my household. But some good racing at the top of your screen. There's Stan Hausman to the inside of Jordan Shepler. A couple of pink cars, and there's Matt Cherry trying to bounce back from that pit stop mishap.
Yeah, Matt Cherry trying to recover here, battling Stan Hausman at about the 10th position. And Stan, one of those guys that is always looking to take advantage of mistakes around him. We saw him do so last season all the way to the championship round. I think this season, it's going to be a little bit harder to make that work. I really like that NSRA has gone to this longer championship format that really rewards guys that can perform consistently throughout a certain race period of time. I think that is absolutely the way to go as far as determining a champion is concerned. And now the 84 machine, Peter, you talked about him being kind of a dark horse, qualified down in 18th position, running up to 7th position as of right now, with Doug Neal and Philip Scott in front of him. A great job by the number 84 machine. Is now Matt Cherry gets around Jeff Price. He runs a little high through turns 3 and 4, and Matt Cherry back up into 8th position.
Yeah, so Cherry on a charge here to make up for that pit road issue just a little while ago. Just looking back to where Tellier has settled. He's settled. He's trying to avoid something because something has happened. Caution flag waving here for only the second time here tonight. Let's see if we can figure out what prompted this yellow flag to come out, because I don't necessarily see anyone stopped out there.
99, Philip Scott.
Philip Scott. Oh, yeah. Wow, I'm surprised it didn't come up as something a little bit more on my end, because this, folks, looks a little bit messy. Let's see what happened here to the number 99 machine coming down the backstretch, and comes down the racetrack. Doug Neal was right there, and Philip Scott bounces off the wall. Justin White nowhere to go, and Philip Scott just, I think he Alt F4'd it to jump out of the car. But to me, Drew, we're going to have to go back and catch that one here on the 3 Wide TV replay, but it looks to me like the number 99 came down the racetrack. Like I said, we will see here on this particular replay. Unfortunately, I have to kind of manually queue up this replay every time because it didn't actually even register as an accident, because the 99 of Philip Scott kind of kept moving. He never ground to a halt. Coming down the backstretch, Doug Neal, you can see him dropping a little bit lower on the racetrack. And yeah, the 99 there, Drew, he kind of crosses the line. There might have been a little bit of net code, but Philip, who had such a strong run going here tonight, heavy contact with that inside wall. And then watch the number 2 machine. Nowhere for the 2 to go of Justin White. Here we go, on board with him. Bam! Not sure how much damage the 2 got. He definitely made contact with the wall there. You can see that. But Ben Mashburn, I think he's probably the luckiest person in town, because Philip Scott just disappeared when he kind of got by him.
Yeah. I mean, just an unfortunate set of circumstances by the number 99. I mean, that's not a massive mistake, but it's one that certainly will cost him the finish. If he wouldn't have made that mistake, that's just so hard to avoid. The Alt F4 engaging by Philip Scott right there going into turn 3. And Peter, when a car like that, or truck in this case rather, glances off that inside wall, it's almost a gamble as to where the iRacing momentum and physics game will take that vehicle, and you're just trying to avoid it, go high, go low. You don't know what the right decision is. But we saw that 2 make some decent contact. I don't think the 2 necessarily has as much damage as you would think that he has, based on what we saw that number 99 machine do. As far as response is concerned, I'm actually not seeing any left front damage on that number 2 machine, just right front damage. So I think that Justin White might be okay.
Yeah, I hope the number 2 is okay, and hopefully you can get that thing back up to racing speed. Same thing with the number 77 of Doug Neal. Just checking in on Doug Neal. He's right behind Josh Sobel, so he's not going to... It looks like he's going to take the longest line penalty here. He's going to be still inside the top 10, so that's good news for the Doug Neal fans in the chat here tonight. But a great-looking field here tonight, Drew. A big field at the Texas Motor Speedway. And we now know for certain we are within the window of making it to the end of the race on fuel. And now I will pose an even bigger question to you, Drew. Remember how we thought that maybe, just maybe, Nick Kessler was a couple of laps short on fuel? Well, now that's going to be not true anymore. I think with this caution flag, Nick Kessler can make it to the end of the race, barring any Beer Street Journal last calls that we might see at the end of the race. But could Nick Kessler's double pit actually really help him out at the drop of the checkered flag? We'll have to wait and find out. That could be an interesting call, although, as I say that, he's coming back down pit road. I think we actually had some takers under this caution flag as well. Just checking in. Who all just came down pit road? Ben Mashburn did, Jeffrey Johnson Jr., William Kerwin, Mike Floppy Tellier, Adam Dama. We had a good number. About eighth position on back just came down pit road. So we know they're good to the end of the race. The top 7, however, might just be a little close on making it to the end of the race.
Yeah. As somebody who has gambled and lost here at Texas, as a matter of fact, you just don't know what the right strategy is going to be. It's really, really hard to figure out. These guys have a total of 4 tire sets, so 3 tire changes here tonight. But when you introduce that dynamic into the race, it's really hard to figure out exactly what's going to work. But we will find out shortly as John Cannizzaro, interestingly enough, taking that high lane here on this restart with that number 81 machine starting to his inside. We'll see how early that number 12 machine goes. There we go. Waited for the 81 to maybe make a little jump. There is Jordan Shepler. looked at making it 3 wide. As we know, making a commitment to a lane change is a big old no-no here in NSRA. Is John Cannizzaro a great restart, Peter, solidifying his position in first place.
Yeah, Cannizzaro up at the front, and of course a couple of new faces up towards the front of the field as Jordan Shepler and Nate Maurer stayed out under this last caution flag. They now find themselves inside the top 5, and Jeff Price up to second position for the first time here tonight. We're riding on board with the second place number 14 machine of Jeff Price. Randy Bledsoe, however, with a deep dive into turn number 1, getting underneath the Back Channel Productions number 14 Chevrolet, and Bledsoe with a strong run on that inside. Can he pull off the pass in turn number 3 and 4? We'll have to wait and find out. The field just starting to get a little bit single file after this restart. Maybe those tires don't quite have as much raciness in them as we saw the last restart when all of these tires were brand new and fresh. We can confirm that a lot of the trucks that just came down pit road just came down and topped off the truck with fuel. They only had a couple of green flag laps on the tires anyway, so they are electing to save the tire set for later, but they wanted to get into the window where they can make it to the end of the race on fuel as Bledsoe continues to race side by side with Jeff Price. They almost make contact there through the center of turn number 3 and 4, but Bledsoe gonna lead the charge out onto the front stretch and take over second.
Yeah, and Jeff Price, ooh, throwing that thing into to turn 1, and it's really, really hard to challenge there on that high lane. But a good job by that 81 to just kind of at least keep the nose there. A late commitment to that bottom lane, and I think the 14's going to try to take it, not quite. I think the 81's going to get some momentum here down the front stretch. Not a ton, but enough to keep that 14 from entering how he wants to. A decent arc, though, and I think that 14 is at least going to take second. Yeah, that 81. Ooh, actually, he gets a little loose, and that allows Jeff Price to run a little bit of a defensive line. And Peter, I got to say, I was really not anticipating, I think the 14 just left the bottom open. He did. Here comes that 81, and this is exactly what John Cannizzaro wants to see out in that race lead, is all these guys racing like crazy for second position as he just extends his race lead.
Yeah, Cannizzaro is disappearing up the road from this side-by-side action. Jordan Shepler giving a little bit of a push to the 81. In fact, just pushes the 81 by the 14, and he himself gets pulled on past the 14. So Price now back to 4th position right in front of Nate Maurer. And how about Stan Houseman, the Beer Street Journal machine back there? Going back to your point, Drew, talking about beers, I know every time I see Stone IPA, I think of you, because I know you're a big fan of Stone. And I had a new beer last night, a Cigar City Maduro Brown, and it was really, really good. I have that on my mind right now. As a matter of fact, maybe I'll have one of those Maduros later in the night. They actually have Maduro on draft here in the state of Texas. So they're from the Tampa Bay region, I believe, of Florida, the Cigar City Brewing Company. So good beers all around, but the Beer Street Journal number 39 machine finds himself right now just outside the top 5. Good run here tonight for Stan Houseman, who is one of the fan favorites here in the National Sim Racing Association. Chris Darling squeaking on past Doug Neal, the Taz Racing Customs Ford F-150, starting to creep his way back up towards the front. He did come down onto pit road on lap number 92, so we know he's good to the end of the race on fuel. And Drew, the highest place of all those drivers who just came down pit road, so that could be a good spot to be if we go clean and green to the end of the race. Just 31 laps to go.
A big if, though. I gotta say that if we go green, that if is doing a lot of work as these races get closer to the end. I think that sense of urgency. Ooh, as the 81 kind of pinched that 13 right there on the entry to turns 1 and 2. Guys are just giving each other a little bit less room. I was going to say as the track cools down, but we kind of have a constant sim time of 9:23 p.m. 0 times time progression. So it will forever, perpetually beat 9:23 in the late evening here at Texas Motor Speedway. But that number 12 machine has put on a show. 1.3 seconds between he and second place Jordan Shepler. Is now Chris Darling making a move on Jeff Price for fourth position, with Nathan Maurer trying to follow him to that position. And I agree, Peter. I think that this 11 machine is doing a really good job. Is he out of tires, though? I know these guys get 3 tire changes, if I'm reading this correctly. And I think this number 11 is hoping that it goes green for the rest of the race. But do you think he has any tires if there is another caution?
I don't believe so. You're looking at what I'm seeing on my end here, Drew. When he was on pit road on lap number 92, he actually took his final set of tires. He's made 3 pit stops here tonight, and I think each one of those has been for Goodyear tires. So of the drivers who pitted on lap number 92 and still have a tire set left, Matt Cherry is the highest place of those drivers. But Chris Darling here, Drew, making his bed. I mean, he came down pit road knowing that he has an opportunity to get to the checkered flag on fuel, whereas your race leaders don't. He took his final set of tires knowing that his strategy was going to be hoping the race went green flag to the end. If it does go green flag to the end, Chris Darling is going to look like an absolute genius out there, because not a lot of drivers came down and took their final set of tires on lap number 92. A lot of the people in the garage still have 1 set of tires on their pit box, but not Chris Darling. He threw everything at this gamble that the race would go green flag. He's 25 laps away from seeing that checkered flag. How many yellow flags will we see between now and then? He's hoping for none. We might have some, but Josh Sobel, the 57 machine there at the top of the screen, impaled that outside wall coming out of turn number 2. We've seen a couple of drivers do it here tonight. Now add Josh Sobel to that mix, and that is a tough break for a driver who's so far had a really good night here at Texas.
Yeah, a really great job by Josh Sobel thus far, as maximizing his abilities are concerned. A little bit of right side damage, though, as you mentioned, Peter, on that number 57 machine. Just that's a big hamper as far as the ability to carry apex speed is concerned. Yeah, you see that number 57 just really struggling to maintain that apex speed, which really hampers your ability to exit the corners. Now Stan Houseman, I think, is going to grab that position. Yeah, Stan Houseman up to 9th. 57 struggling just a little bit. And I think Josh is one of those guys that is really, really, really capable as far as sheer pace is concerned, but just has to minimize those types of mistakes. As now we're looking at Jeffrey Johnson Jr. And this number 33 machine, Peter, historically we've seen being able to capitalize on people's mistakes. Now looking at Stan Houseman battling that number 23 machine there for about 8th, 9th position, if I'm not mistaken. I think that 23 is a lap down, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Travis White, 1 lap down, so this is not a battle for track position. That 23 trying to get track position back is now John Cannizzaro, losing a little bit of lead to Chris Darling here with 22 laps.
Yeah, 22 laps to go, and you are not wrong. There is John Cannizzaro Jr., but out back is Chris Darling. Let's see if we can bring up that gap between these 2 drivers as the laps have been winding down in the last 8 laps. Chris Darling has gone from 2.2 seconds back to now only just under a second. So Darling definitely closing in on Cannizzaro. You can see the clean track between those 2. Darling has right now about 11 lap fresher tires, but we know Darling has enough fuel to make it to the end of tonight's race. We aren't too sure about John Cannizzaro. We saw earlier this season in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series, Drew, you kind of brought it up that you made a gamble. You didn't expect the race to go green all the way to the end, and it ended up going green for the final 30 or so laps here. Tonight, it's going to have to go green for about the final 40 laps, so a little bit more even on the cards here. But Chris Darling, that's where he has thrown all his money. I know the casinos in Oklahoma are not all too far, maybe about an hour or so away from the Texas Motor Speedway. But Chris Darling has bet it all on his particular strategy, trying to get this win here tonight at Texas.
Ken Nazar doing a really good job, but being chased down by Chris Darling, Peter, and Randy Bledsoe in that 81 machine, and I think Chris Darling is in the driver's seat with 18 to go.
Yeah, if this race can go caution-free to the end, I would agree. Meanwhile, unfortunately for Joshua Sobel, his right side damage he picked up about 7 or 8 laps ago is continuing to plague the number 57, as he's just lost the 13th position to TJ Buckets. Oh my goodness. Ben Mashburn and Mike Floppy Tellier might have been trading some paint there on entry to turn number 3, as looks like Josh Sobel is calling it to pit road to get some of that damage hopefully fixed. It might be just trying a different strategy, but these two drivers racing really hard. These are a couple of drivers that not all too long ago, Drew, were up inside the top 10. Last week's race winner there, Ben Mashburn in the Chester's Chicken Ford F-150, and Mike Floppy Tellier, who had a stellar stave coming out of turn number 2 there not all too long ago. But right now, this is for 14th position. So these drivers definitely not having, the night that they were hoping to have just a little while ago. And then back behind them, just out of the picture, is another driver we mention all the time having a quiet night. That is a 64 of Vincent Valvano there, just keeping his tabs on the battle in front of him. As Dalton Hayes says, hey, you know what? I'm just going to take this 3 wide because, 3 wide TV is called 3 wide TV for a reason, so why not go 3 wide on 3 wide TV? As the 47 is going to try and get 14th away from Tellier and Mashburn. Going to try and get a 2-for-1 here as they head off through turn number 1. They get really tight. They almost have it coming together, and luckily they stay off one another and we can stay green. But this is a good battle, even though it's well down the running order.
Yeah, that 97 not really able to... Oh, big wreck! The 47 stuck in the catch fence, and we talked about how close they were running, Peter, and that 47 trying to get that truck going. It's going nowhere. This is one of those wrecks that I'm really glad we have in iRacing and not in real life.
Yeah, Well, caution flags out. That's not good for Chris Darling, but it's also not good for Mike Tellier and Dalton Hayes. Let's see exactly what happened between these two. Tellier threw a huge block going off into turn number 3. Dalton Hayes might not have been too happy with that block by the number 97 machine. I know Dalton was racing hard, but then Tellier appears to get loose there, Drew. Goes down below the apron. Dalton makes contact. The 97 puts a bunch of wheel, tries to save the truck, shoots across the racetrack, and the 47 just uses the 97 as a pole vault, and then Mike Floppy Tellier somehow finds a trampoline in the wall and starts spinning backwards on the racetrack. That's a head scratcher.
Yeah, I mean, iRacing physics, where the real world does not apply, as, the 97, that's, with the laps to go, I kind of understand, but I don't think what the 47 did is necessarily wrong. I mean, as ye old oval racing saying goes, you pinch, you pay. The 97 pinched. Unfortunately, the 47's the one who paid. But I think when you block like that at a place like Texas, I don't Ooh, I think the 97 got loose, and he had to get out of the throttle, and then by the time that wreck really happened, there's nothing that the 47 could have done. I don't think the 47 did anything wrong. I just think when you're the 97, you shouldn't be throwing blocks like that, especially when it's not for the race lead.
Yeah, and the fact that Tellier cut down in front might have actually taken the air off that rear spoiler there and caused them to get loose. And so it kind of might have been Tellier putting himself in a bad position. And there's Dalton Hayes getting a really good look of the iRacing crowd coming out of turn number 4. I've actually sat in those seats for a race or two in my life right there. So I think I've sat in an IndyCar race as well as a NASCAR race in those seats. So glad that didn't happen in real life. But here's the bad news if you're a Chris Darling fan. You're out of tires. You're not going to come back down pit road to get any more tires. You've made your bet. Ben Mashburn, he's going to stay out in the number 4 machine here. Maybe he is out of tires as well. But then you have the driver who's dominated here tonight. John Cannizzaro just came down pit road. He's on 4 fresh tires. Randy Bledsoe behind him. Jordan Shepler, Jeff Price. So kind of an interesting top 10. Some new faces inside the top 10 for the first time here tonight. And then, of course, some fairly familiar faces. One driver who's in the top 10 right now that we haven't really mentioned a whole lot of is Randy Perdue. The other Randy, not Randy Bledsoe, but the 25 right there of Randy Perdue, staying tuned to that Stay Tuned Sports podcast. And that 25 has a little bit of right side damage, but he's got himself inside the top 10 here in the late stages of the race. Right in front of Stan Hausman and Justin White sticking it out in the number 2 machine. Remember, we thought his night might have been done. Looks like he's maintained a lot of speed in that number 2 truck after being involved in that incident with Philip Scott about 30 or 40 laps ago, which, Drew, I mean, you have to think about it. We didn't have our first caution until lap number 81-ish or so, and now we've had probably 3 or 4 since that. So, what they say, the action heats up as the lap count goes down, and we're certainly seeing that here in the Lone Star State.
Yes, we are. I think Chris Darling's in a bad position. To be honest, he will be starting from the race lead with Ben Mashburn to his outside if he takes the inside, which I believe he is. And John Cannizzaro in the number 12 machine will be restarting right behind him. And it's going to be a tall order for that number 11 to hold off the 12. Not just the 12, but a lot of trucks behind him. I think both the 11 and the number 4 machines are in a really rough spot with 10 to go. I think if this were green-white checkered, it'd be one thing. But with 10 to go, I think that all of these trucks behind the 11 and the 4, because they all pitted. So, I mean, I am assuming that they all have fresh tires, which is not a given. But the 12 certainly does. The 81 certainly does. And a bunch of trucks behind them certainly do. It's going to be a not fun 10 laps for this 11 machine. I think Chris is just looking for a solid finish, though, Peter, as they are looking to make a solid restart here as the number 23 machine is our lucky dog. Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner as they go through 3 and 4.
I think we all have a case of the hiccups here tonight on 3 Wide TV. Even the chat has had some hiccups here tonight. It is what it is. Pace car heads down pit road. Christopher Darling, the number 11, is your race leader on old tires. Same thing with Ben Mashburn. They're slow to get things wound up. Chris Darling does hit the stripe as your race leader, but Cannizzaro with a full head of steam in the Texaco Havoline Chevy Silverado looking to go to victory lane here tonight. It has not been a great season for Cannizzaro here in the Truck Series, as his best finish came in Atlanta Motor Speedway in 4th and had to take a provisional last week. Now, Cannizzaro, he's clear of the number 4, closing in on your race lead, coming to just 8 more laps to go. Here we go, side by side for the lead. Cannizzaro's been dominant here tonight. Drew, and he's going to try and take that lead back from Darling, but we know Darling isn't going to give up easy.
I just don't think he's going to have much of a choice here as John Cannizzaro rolls that high lane through 1 and 2. He takes the race lead. And, oh, we got a truck on the apron. The 81 machine going through 3 and 4. Apologies, Peter.
Yeah, I wonder if that 84 got a penalty, Drew. I don't know. He's done. He says, I'm done. I don't know if he got a lane change violation or something there, but his night is done in a hurry. That's really unfortunate for a driver who's been extremely fast here tonight. We got some side-by-side action here as Darling continues to slide back through the field. Nathan Maurer, the 971, to his outside. Cannizzaro has gotten to the front and is starting to pull away up to about a 0.4 of a second lead. Second spot, Matt Cherry. How about the night for Matt Cherry in the Stay Tuned Sports podcast truck? He overshot his pit box at one point, had a 22-second effective pit stop time, and has thoroughly bounced back from that. Side-by-side action, Jordan Shepler, the number 13 winner this season. He started off not so hot here tonight, Drew. He has done so well to find the wheels underneath that 13. He's now gotten up into the top 3 for the first time here tonight. This could be an emotional night for the number 13. He's sporting that breast cancer pink for his mom, who has her own cancer fight going on right now, as Nathan Maurer just caught the wall there in the 971 machine. Big shout out, of course, here tonight to Brookstone Animal Hospital for sponsoring the Breast Cancer Awareness 200. But we are coming to just 4 more laps to go. 6 miles at Texas Motor Speedway for John Cannizzaro Jr. to take home his first win of the season. And interestingly enough, Drew, this could be the 5th different winner in the opening 5 races. What a story that would be. We saw something similar to that last season here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. I think we had 7 different winners out of the first 8 races or something like that. Doug Neal now, the 77, getting underneath Jeff Price. These drivers doing a great job. Great battles here all the way to the checkered flag here at Texas.
Yeah, a really solid run by that number 77 machine, now solidifying his position within the top 5, taking that 4th position away as though the 14 machine coming back to the inside. And Chris Darling, woof, he has really struggled here now, falling down to 12th position. He's really loose. What's going on with this 11 machine? Peter, with 3 to go, as John Cannizzaro now taking the 2 to go of not flag, but just position as that 11. Man, this is not what he wanted to see, as Darling now in 16th position, as that number 77 machine doing a good job of maintaining here, with now Jordan Shepler challenging for 2nd, with coming to 3 and 4, trying to take that white flag. This is the best battle on the track here, as Shepler battling to the outside of Cherry as Cannizzaro takes the white flag.
White flag is in the air. John Cannizzaro has been a dominant force all night up at the front of the field in his number 12 machine. We will focus, however, on the battle for the 2nd position between the 54 of Cherry and the 13 of Jordan Shepler. For right now, it looks like Cherry has got that position. Shepler going to mount one last charge on the high line. Nothing going for him there. Not Jordan Shepler. John Cannizzaro going to come out of turn number 4 and take home the checkered flag in the Breast Cancer Awareness 200, brought to you by our friends over at the Brookstone Animal Hospital. Matt Cherry going to come home in 2nd. 3rd to Jordan Shepler. Doug Neal in the 77 has a strong run. 5th spot here tonight, Randy Perdue. Drew, I mentioned there with 10 laps to go that Randy Perdue had been a quiet driver all night out there on the racetrack. How about that? Gets a top 5 at the end of the night. John Cannizzaro, contact. Cannizzaro's in the wall with Jordan Shepler after the race. Not sure if there was any bad blood between those 2 drivers, but that could be an interesting discussion after it's all said and done. Maybe that was just a congratulatory bump gone wrong, but Cannizzaro here, he doesn't care. He's just going to burn it down here on the front stretch of Texas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there was a quicker truck out there tonight than Mr. Cannizzaro, but a solid run by Matt Cherry, who started outside the top 10, as well as our other podium finisher in Jordan Shepler, who started in 17th position. A fantastic job nailing the strategy by those guys. And I think that would kind of describe John Canizaro's strategy. Bumper quarter still there, and you wreck Jennifer Jo Club. That's kind of Canizaro's thing. He, we're not gonna get too much into that, but because guess what? He was the quickest truck all night tonight. Won the pole, won the race. I anticipate him having the fastest lap, although I cannot confirm that. So a fantastic job by that number 12 machine.
Just looking to see if you're right there, Drew. I think he and Travis White might have shared the fastest lap of the race here tonight, a 30.10 shared between the 23 and the number 12. So a lot of pace between those drivers. That is for sure. Let's see if we can possibly get a couple of drivers lined up for your post-race interviews here on the channel, because we're going to have some fun interviewing these top three finishers here tonight. Some fresh faces to drag here into the 3-wide TV waiting room and get some words with some drivers we haven't talked to and some that we have talked to so far this year. Some of these drivers have, in fact, Matt Cherry, Jordan Shepler have already won races. Now John Canizaro joins that list. But Drew, let's start off with the number 13, Jordan Shepler. Let's let you take it away with the number 13 here tonight.
Jordan Shepler, Drew Eisman up here in the 3-wide TV booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Well, Jordan, you started outside the top 15. You drive that number 13 machine all the way to third in an awesome scheme. Number one, kind of give us, the background behind that scheme that you're running tonight, and then just kind of tell us how you managed to achieve third place.
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to my mom. That's the whole reason behind my scheme tonight. She's currently going through her breast cancer treatments. So I just want to say hi, Mom. Hopefully you're watching. But no, it really, the first part of the race was just trying to keep the truck clean, keep the tires under it, try to keep in a decent position. And then I knew that if we did that, we'd probably be in a good position towards the end of the race to make a run. And I was hoping for a top 10, but I'll definitely take a top 5, and especially a podium finish.
And, I think that when I think of that number 13 truck, I think of excelling at these 1.5s, these intermediate ovals. Is there something about these intermediate ovals that you excel at? Like, what's the type of track that you look forward to the most, I guess, is kind of the basis of that question.
Really, I do like these tracks. I'm really particular on the super speedways, as you know, but no, these are they're one of my good tracks. I wouldn't say they're my favorite to run, but for some reason I do well on these tracks. I'm just hoping that we can keep up the momentum and hopefully get a couple more podiums.
Yeah, and as somebody who's already kind of locked in, right, as far as the chase is concerned, coming into a race like tonight or one of these upcoming regular season races in the future, what's your approach? What's your mindset going into that race, knowing that you don't have to worry about necessarily running in the top 10, but what's your mindset? What's your strategy?
Really take nothing for granted. This league is full of great drivers. You see it, each and every week. You really don't know who's going to be running out front. So I might be locked in, but I still want to keep my momentum and finish well each and every race. Like I said, I don't take anything for granted. It wouldn't surprise me if, it turned into somehow a points race, towards the end of the year. And I'm a firm believer in, just keeping your momentum going, and you'll finish well.
And kind of keeping in that that mindset of not taking anything for granted. We have a different challenge here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Next week, at Watkins Glen. Are you a road course fan? What's your mindset going into next weekend, next Friday?
I'll be honest. I'm not a road course fan. My goal for any of the road courses is just try to keep it on the track. If I can squeak out a top 15, then I'll be absolutely thrilled with that. I know there's a lot of guys in this league, and they do some road course racing. They're going to be much faster than I am. So if I can get across the finish line with a clean truck, we'll count that as a win.
Well, absolutely. We look forward to seeing exactly what happens next Friday night. Thank you for talking with us, Jordan. But before we let you go, let's hear those shout-outs.
Absolutely. Got to thank our sponsors, Stay Tuned Sports Podcast. Check them out on any of your podcast servers. I want to thank Beer Street Journal for sponsoring the league as well. The NSRA, they put on a great show. You guys up in the booth, you guys put on a great broadcast each and every week. And also want to shout out my girlfriend, Lauren. She got mad at me because I didn't shout her out last time, but hey, honey.
All right, Jordan. Well, thank you for talking with us. Congratulations on your third place, and good luck for the rest of the regular season. And we look forward to seeing what you can do in the chase.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, that's going to do it with tonight's third place driver of the number 13 machine, Jordan Shepler. Let's see if we can dial up tonight's runner-up driver of the number 48, Matt Cherry. Matt, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, I'll tell you what, Matt, definitely a good night, all things considered, for you after a disastrous pit stop. You really rallied back there late in the race, got up to second, which I think was the highest you were all night long. An impressive comeback for you tonight.
Oh, yeah, on that stop, man, I don't know what happened. We got in our box perfect. You know, we went in, I think it was 6th, 7th, somewhere in there. Come out, I think it was like 14th. Just a terrible stop.
Yeah, definitely not a great stop, but you rallied back, you found some pace, and you seemed like there was a couple of drivers out here tonight that improved a little bit by little as the night went on. Did you continue to find something in the racetrack here tonight?
I never could figure it out. I mean, we was just trash on a long run. I mean, we could do something with them on a short run, but we just didn't have it on the long run.
Yeah, well, you're kind of lucky there late in the race that you got all those cautions then. You think that really played into your speed?
Well, I'm not sure where I restarted at on that last caution. I think we were 8th. I had to pass a few trucks. I think if I didn't have to pass all those trucks, get my tires real hot, you know, I probably could have had something for John. I mean, he was fast. I give him that. But if I could have got to him, I think I could have got under him.
Well, nonetheless, he was lightning quick here tonight, but a great run for you. Next week we go to Watkins Glen International Raceway. What are your thoughts about going to the Glen?
It's one of my better road courses. You know, I'm not too bad there. The Roval's rough, but you know I can get around the Glen pretty well.
Well, we are looking forward to seeing what Watkins Glen has to offer next week. But before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, give a shout out to Stay Tuned Sports for being on the truck this season. You know, I know they get in the chat and they conversate all night with other people.
Yeah, it's a good group of people here in the National Sim Racing Association, and our chat chimes in as well. But hey, thank you very much for stopping on by. Congratulations on your second place finish. A great start to the season for you and the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series machine. We'll see you next week at the Glen.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, folks, that's going to do it with our runner-up, Matt Cherry, here tonight. And now, Drew Eisenman has caught up with John Cannizzaro.
Mr. Cannizzaro himself, Drew Eisenman, up here in the 3-wide TV booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I have a copy.
Well, I don't think that there was a truck on track quicker than you tonight. Give us a rundown of your strategy and how that race unfolded through that front windshield.
Saving tires, something I'm not good at, something I'm not used to doing. I decided to try to even off the tires, slide it in 3 and 4, kill the right wheel a little bit, plowed it in 1 and 2, try to burn the right front off so it wouldn't get too loose on me, wouldn't get too tight on me, but didn't overrun my pit stop like I did in practice. I know that was on the broadcast. It was good though. Truck didn't handle too bad. I know Justin and them picked some good setups out now, so it's never a bad thing on Friday nights, but I think it was a good race for me. Finally got that win off my back from Bristol.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't. Again, you won the pole, you won the race, but before that last caution, that number 11 machine of Chris Darling was on your rear tailgate. How worried were you that number 11 would get by you?
I don't think there's words to explain it. I think he took tires. I couldn't be too sure about it. I'm sure you guys had the gadgets. I don't. You can probably tell me if he did or didn't, but I wasn't going to hold him off, and I wasn't going to play my luck with it, trying to block him. So he was either going to get me or there was going to be a caution. Thankfully, it played in my favor.
He certainly had fresh tires, and that's why there at the end of the race, you were able to get by him so easily. But next Friday night, a little bit of a track that I know both you and that track very well. What are your expectations going into Watkins Glen?
I'm going to stay away from any number 77. We don't need no deja vu here. I'm not bad at it. I think I'm pretty good, at least in cup cars and Xfinity. I've never tried trucks, at least. So we're going to have to see. I'm usually good at road courses and heavy tanks.
Well, I mean, based on our interactions, I expect you to be quick. We'll see what other things happen. But congratulations on your victory here at Texas tonight. And before we let you go, let's hear those shout-outs.
All the guys at TNR, we get to hang out with them. SimShots Racing, let me tag along this year. Jeff Price, he has to sit and endure me in a voice call for a race. That's pretty tough to do. You guys for putting on the broadcast. Give a little shout out to Johnny Williams. I'm glad we could see him back out on the racetrack, but that's been a little bit of a while without him. And my father, he's sitting behind me, watching me.
Well, thanks for talking with us. I mean, we got a double trouble as far as road courses are concerned with Sonoma and Watkins Glen next week, and I look forward to Thursday, and I look forward to broadcasting on Friday. Good luck in both those races.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that's going to do it with driver of the number 12 machine here tonight, John Cannizzaro, your race winner, and that ended up being a little bit juicier interview than I thought it was going to be. How about that? Going to be a lot of fun next week when we go to the road course at Watkins Glen. Before we jump over to the final race results, I do want to shout out a person joining us in the chat here tonight. We have Julie Lane joining us in the chat here on 3 Wide TV, and Julie, from everyone here in the 3 Wide TV family, we want to send our well wishes for your fight, and we know you can beat it. And great to have the number 13 out there of Jordan Shepler rooting you on as well, out there on the racetrack and getting a great third place here tonight. Let's bring up the final race results, however, for all you folks in the chat, because we have a pretty decent number of trucks here tonight to go through. Taking home the win in the number 12 machine, John Cannizzaro. Matt Cherry coming home in second. Jordan Shepler in third. Doug Neal in the 77. Kind of had a quiet night. He was up there inside the top 10 for a good majority of the show, but he comes home fourth. Randy Perdue had a very quiet night and just creeped his way into the top 5. That would have been a fun interview with his night. Stan Hausman, strong run for the Beer Street Journal truck. Of course, a big shout out to Stan Hausman and his family for sponsoring the Breast Cancer Awareness 200 here tonight, presented by Brookstone Animal Hospital. Then back behind him, TJ Buck in 7th, Nathan Maurer in 8th, Nick Kessler, who had a good recovery in the 88 after smacking down the wall, and Vincent Valvano, a top 10 for him. Again, Drew, quiet night for Vincent Valvano, rounding out your top 10.
Hey, those quiet nights finishing inside the top 10 is absolutely what can make a championship contender. Jeffrey Johnson Jr. just outside the top 10, finishing in 11th. Travis White finishing in 12th. Jeff Price in that 14 machine locked in potentially. We'll see what happens in the rest of the races. Into the chase format in 13th. Steven Doziak in the number 55 machine finishing in 14th. And Justin White, Chris Darling, and Ben Mashburn in 15th, 16th, and 17th. A solid run by Adam Dama in that number 28 machine, finishing in 18th position. Then Josh Corner in the number 9, finishing in 19th. And then Garrett Gleason in the number 7 machine, again, doing what he needs to do to maximize his finish, finishing in 20th, rounding out our top 20.
21st position here tonight, William Kerwin Jr. 1 lap down. Randy Bledsoe in the 81 machine did incur a lane change penalty on the final restart here tonight. We got word from the race officials that Randy Bledsoe was black flagged for that, and instead of him seeing out the checkered flag, he parked the number 81 truck after receiving that black flag penalty. Mike Floppy Tellier, 23rd position here tonight. Dalton Hayes, 24th. Joshua Sobel, he retired his car after smacking the wall late. He was in the chat post-race saying, man, it just had no pace after he killed the wall. Johnny Williams finished 26th here tonight, 20 laps down. Philip Scott, 43 laps down in 27th. Tristan Maher, 73 laps down. And Cody Brown was the first retirement here tonight at Texas, 90 laps down. Scott Tompkins did not start at this race here tonight. But Drew, that's going to do it from the Texas Motor Speedway here tonight. Going to be a lot of fun next week going to upstate New York to the land of the lakes, many lakes up around that part of the United States of America. And I'm looking forward to turning left and right here this season.
Yeah, in the old Thursday series, someone might have asked some recommendations for that race, and I think that holds true for next Friday. And it's you got to turn left, but you also got to turn right, and so I'm looking forward to that. It's a great little road course with a whole lot of history, and I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys can do on that track, because there's not going to be the kind of reset as far as strategy is concerned that we see on a lot of ovals. I don't anticipate a full course caution, so a lot is going to be asked of these drivers to perform throughout the entirety of that race, and I'm looking forward to it.
And I'm looking forward to it as well, right here on 3 Wide TV, 9 o'clock Eastern next week on the channel. But for myself, Peter Short, Drew Eisenman, and everyone else, we want to say, hey, go knock out cancer. We want to give a big shout out to Brookstone Animal Hospital for, of course, sponsoring tonight's race, and of course every other sponsor that we have here in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series. We'll also have to give out our Biggest Mover of the Race Award here in just a moment, but before we get to that, a big shout out to Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, Brookstone Animal Hospital, Craig's Setup Shop. Make sure you check out craigsetupshop.co.uk, all one word, MaxGrafix and maxgrafix.co, Brookstone Vet.com, Taz Racing Customs. We'll bring up that Biggest Mover of the Race Award here in just a second. And, of course, Beer Street Journal, the sponsor of the Beer Street Journal Last Call. All right, time to check out the Taz Racing Customs Biggest Mover of the Race Award. It is going to go tonight to driver of the number 25 machine, who started into 26th position and comes home with a top 5, that being Randy Perdue. Quiet night, but a strong one for that number 25 from 26th to 5th. Very, very impressive. And big shout out to Taz Racing Customs for all your custom diecast needs. Go check them out. If you can dream it, they can build it. They do customs for drivers, businesses, local drivers, or any special occasion, including, of course, your iRacing cars. And you can definitely hit them up on Facebook. There is a link in the description. But that's going to do it for us here tonight. Stay safe, and we shall see ya.